Now for the build, I know that usually to make a waistband for her 600 makes a very tight one. So that's what I want, around 600. So I click, not like that, click once and then type in the width 600 and in the height let's see 20. 20 should do. Now I am going to make this belt from 2 pieces. So in fact I am going to make them, 2 of them 300. So 300, 20, copy paste. And the reason of that, I want to make it look like they are not in the middle and a ribbon. And if it is one piece, it's going to be harder, but if it is 2 pieces, I can sew it 2 in a special way in the middle that will make it look a bit more like a knot. And I will bring up her arrangement points and wrap this one around here and wrap this one around here. Then lower them a bit, hide arrangement points, and then I am going to sew these back parts together. I am going to freeze this so this doesn't get in the way. And then instead of sewing these together like that, I am going to go up here and make my circular tool and make a small circle. Just hide the length because they are in the way. And then I am going to sew this to here and this to here. And then I got a belt fabric here. I think it's the chiffon. We have raised shear of 9, and I am also going to stick on this little thing here and simulate. And I am going to increase the size of this a bit, scale it up a touch and scale this down a touch more, so that sort of make it pull into there. Then I am going to add something over that afterwards, I mean after I make the ribbon. So first of all I am going to make the 2 ribbon both string, and maybe this can be a bit bigger, bit too small from here, something like that. Alright, for the ribbon both string I am going to make them, see what width this is, 25, I make it 20, width of 20, maybe 15 is probably better, and the height I will make bit too long, something like that. Then I am going to segment sew this part to this part and apply the ribbon strings. Now apply the ribbon fabric, strings are big afterwards. And I am going to free sew this part to this top part to here, so like to one part of this 4 segment in circle. And then I am going to simulate, and we have to got here a bow, ribbon, bow things. Now want this to hang, which is because that's I saw in the reference image, they hang 2 like soft fabric. If you want just to stand up, then just increase, then bending, wrap, weft, see which one works best. I mean not stretch warp, undo that, bending warp, and that will make it stand up more rounded. Bending weft, something mostly the warp is, let's going to change it, and then will be stiffer, just going to undo that. And then I will set that the particle distance to 10, afterward I select it 5, but 10 already will make it more rounded. And I will shrink this again, should be shrink because there will be some which area here pulling a bit. So I will copy this and paste this. Then I am going to free sew this side to this segment up to that point, and I will just give it a small rotation so it doesn't intersect with the other one when it simulate. And there we go. And now I have to make a look like there actually some fabric around here, knotting up around the place. Just going to move this a touch. Then I am going to take my rectangular pattern tool and make something like this and apply the ribbon string I should do to it. Then I will segment sew this part together and just stick a pin here. Well, the pin is actually too big. Just let it fold, then stop it, and it should be a bit longer properly. And stop it again, we'll stop it and then brighten it up. In fact, it's probably easier instead of trying to position it and tuck it. To adjust, add an internal line through the middle or about where the middle is and set this full strength of 200 and fold angle to 0, and then just that sewing for a moment. Then let it drop. Before drop too far, just freeze this. And I want this to go right over this round thing. So maybe insert a pin here. There we go. Then this folding. It's right now folding the wrong way. There we go. That's better. Delete the pin. And then it's a bit tricky. Just have to navigate around here. Lower the particle distance to 5. Select it before running away from me. Stop it. Has a shape something like this. Then take it over. And there we go. Now that we have it sort of like V, can just give slight more rotation and then segment these parts together, simulate, and there it is nicely in place and nicely not. Stick a pin there to keep it from running away too far. There, and now you may activate this. Let's hope that they all interact nicely. And there we go. It almost looks like this is a piece of, I think that's going around it, wrapping around it, and we can make it a bit tighter so it sits better there. So to do that, I am just going to take this part up a bit, and we don't need that internal line, though actually we will be needing it when we sew this string is on. So I just leave it there and just put this full strength back to the normal settings and take it up a touch more. Maybe that was too much. Alright, something like that. Now let's add the ribbon string. So I just make a new one, 200 height and width of 15. And put the ribbon string fabric on it. Copy and paste, and often this ribbon string have this nice kind of, because I like that. So I am going to take this point and move them up. Then we have got that nice sort of gift wrap of ribbon look. Now just sew this onto that circle. I would cause probably a lot of trouble because it will be too close and fighting. So instead I am going to sew the amount of this little piece, and we could sew it onto the internal line. Just that internal line is now on the back, or we could sew it somewhere into the bottom. In fact, I am going to get rid of this pin, Ctrl W, and just rotate it around so that we can sew it onto the internal line. Let's hope that everything it's okay and doesn't cause the simulation problem. We have rotating it around, so I'll start with this one and free sew it onto this internal line. We could segment sew it, and then I'll do this on segment sew. Make sure that the sewing isn't crossing like it is here. I just switch to thin texture surface to make sure that inside is inside, so this is inside out. So I am going to flip the normal to get in out again, because we don't want it inside out. And the sewing is still reversed. So I am going to go here and reverse the sewing, and then it is nice and straight. And I am going to freeze this and this one and this one. and then let this simulate. And this quite so nice of the crossing each other. So instead I am going to go in here and take the blue line. Now push it halfway. Come on blue line. Come on blue line. There we go. And then take the green one from this end and push it this way, then simulate. That's a bit better. And then also select these two and put them down to 10. It's a bit smoother. That looks nicer. Now this internal line is too high from my linking. Should be further down, and before I change it, I am just going to activate because it might be rearrange itself and droop a bit more or something like that. And it's a bit too high, so I am just going to take this line and let's see if I take it downwards. As I going to take it down or up, yes, you look it down, sometimes it might go the other way. So there it is a bit down. I am going to take it down even a touch more. Those ribbon string really look like that coming out from the bottom. There we have got a nice looking ribbon. Now activate this one too. Just make that they are all happy and being nice of each other. Alright, and then I select, but I don't need this one. To lower them, I just select this and pull them all down to 5 so that they are nice and soft and hanging nicely. Alright, I think that looks pretty nice. And then let's activate this. And I lower the particle distance as 5. Simulate. And there we go with the dress. Now one very last thing we would like to do with the back is just make a bit rounded. So I am going to take this point down a bit and then apply a small curve. Alright, there we go. We have this final dress. That's how I made the dress, and here is just another example of a different version where I made this part longer to get this smoother part here, and I made this circle bigger, internal circle which gives me more gathers around here. So that's it, and see you in the next video.